put
Rattlers, if I may have your attention, if I may have your attention, we're going to get started. I think our TV audience know that we always get started on time. We got a great record in that regard. I want to start out with some introductions, but instead, I think I want to start out with our esteemed president of the FAMU Boosters, Coach Seven Cobbs.
Wait, with a bill up like that, how can you? You're right. That's what I was thinking about, Colonel. How could I go wrong? Let me get the announcements out of the way. for those anyone who's looking for hotel accommodations in Atlanta, we still have a few rooms left in our block. It's at the Embassy Suites in Buckhead. It's $169 rate, $25 for parking. Uh, Self parking, right? They don't do valet at Embassy Suites. So if you are interested, see me and I can get you the link, and you can use the link and go directly to the hotel and book your reservations and leave all your credit card information there. The other announcement that I have is I want to thank everybody for attending the roundups, and particularly those people that participated in the 50-50 cash. You great people, we were able to donate over $1,000 to the Women Athletics Fund, Eddie. So that just came from the 50-50. Now, as you know, Rattler Booster supports all sports FAMU. So it's not just football. Our track season had started. We're running indoor. Our first meet is at Clemson University, starting is this weekend, starting Friday. So that's both men and women indoor track. They're going to be at Clemson this weekend. Our women's basketball, we had a tough week. We dropped 2 games. Our next game is going to be Friday at 5:30 at going to be playing the University of South Alabama. So that's a home game Friday 5:30, University of South Alabama. That's the women's team. Our men's basketball, we kind of lost both games last week, and our next up, our men team is going to play tonight, and that's going to be at Presbyterian College, and they're on the road. They're still at Clinton. They're going to be at Clinton, South Carolina. Our next home game is going to be Saturday at 2:00, and we're going to be playing Lemoyne Owen. That's Dr. Robinson's alma mater. So that should be an easy victory for us. Okay. And Mr. Jackson, that's all the announcements that I have. I'm going to have to turn it back over to you. Oh, take that back. Mr. Wilbur Johnson just made me aware. I'm taking off my Rattler booster cap, and I'm going to put on my 100 Black Men cap. You know, every year, the 100 Black Men have what we call our fundraiser. And this is a pecan fundraiser. And we raise money to send kids to college. And most of our students are coming to FAMU. So we have pecans at okay, for this audience, pecans. And Wilbur Johnson and there are several other members here. If you're 100 Black Men, just raise your hand. I know Colonel Joe, Wilbur, and past President Tommy Mitchell. We're all in here, and we are helping to try to send kids from this area, give them scholarships. Our prices are a 1 pound bag. They're pieces and they're halves. They're $13. We have a small 7-ounce bag, and they are $7, and they are Honey Crisp, double chocolate, praline, and I think those are the only 3 flavors that come in. Then we have the 14 ounces in those same flavors, 14-ounce box, and that's $17. And we have what we call our favorite foursome, and that's it's Sugar Crisp, Honey Crisp, chocolate, and I can't think of the other flavor, but that's praline. that's $25. It's a canister, a little tin canister. So for the Christmas holidays, when you got company over, expecting company, you like to put those little knickknacks out for your guests to taste and sample. This would be ideal for that. Any other announcements? Anybody that I'm forgetting? Okay, Eddie.
President of the National Alumni Association sent out this email. What's the hotel that's right across?
Okay, that hotel block is filled, and that's for the Hyatt. So what has happened is the Hyatt is right across the street from the Embassy Suites, the hotel I was just telling you about. Also, since that is full already, they also have rooms available. We got a block of rooms, and the NAA got an overflow block of rooms at the Embassy Suites. I'm going to push the Embassy Suites because you can get your free breakfast and you get your free cocktails in the afternoon. So I encourage you to go and do the Rattler Booster Block at the Embassy Suites. Okay. Anything else, Eddie? Okay. But again, I thank you all for all that you do for our student athletes.
All right, I know that chicken and fish is good, but if we could, we want to give a moment of silence for a rattler. We just lost a great rattler, Major Hazelton, passed this week. Yes, he had been dealing with health issues, and I got a call from Eugene Milton. As you know, he's one of the great rattlers, a dual sport athlete, track and football. They set the record, and I say God worked in mysterious ways, but he know what he's doing. Major was able to go to the pin relays when they put their names on the wall last year. So he was able to see that get done. But a moment of silence for Major, please. Oh, thank you.
Ron, can you tell them why that group is on the wall? The names are on the
Oh,
wall.
Mr. Jackson wanted me to remind everyone, and maybe those at home who don't know, we had a great 4x100 meter track relay team, and it's amazing they were all football players as well. And I showed the video when we got back, and we were able to interview those guys. And Mr. Jackson, Major said a whole bunch more than he did in that video, so I clipped it. So the next time we do video, I'm gonna
Sure.
show a little bit more of what he said because he was really a funny guy. And it was Major Hazelton, Nathaniel James, James Ashcroft, and Eugene Milton, four rattlers who won the 4x100 meter dash 3 consecutive years at the Penn Relays, which is like the national championship. And so in 2022, they celebrated 50 years of participation by HBCUs at the Penn Relays. And the biggest honor they can give you at the Penn Relays is on the walls at the turns. If you get a plate put up there, that is like their wall of fame. And all four of the guys were there, and they celebrated them at the Penn Relays, and they treated them like real heroes there. And Carl Lewis was coaching Houston, and he ran over from where he was to get a photo with those guys, and a great conversation they had amongst each other. But they all three played football as well. They were great football players. Major played in the pros. I know Eugene did as well. And so they're three very great rattlers. Four very great rattlers who set the record by what they call retiring the Patterson Cup, which was winning 3 times in a row. And although that feat has been duplicated after them, nobody has won that race 3 times in a row with the same 4 guys. Nobody. So they still hold that distinction.
Thank you, Brian. Brian, I believe Major was drafted high, wasn't he? Yeah, Cleveland Bears. Okay. I remember once during the game, Major played defensive back on the football team, and I forget who we were playing, but one of the guys on the opposing team took off from near his own end zone and nobody was near him. And somebody in the press box said, Rattlers, y'all can forget it. He's a 9-9, he's 9-9 in the 100. And I told him that Major Hazelton, who's running after him, is 9-4 in the 100. He was great to watch. That team was just unbelievable. I remember when I ran the 440. Okay. All right. I wasn't quite as fast as those guys. I sure hope Coach Simmons walk in that door soon. I'm sure he will. In the meantime, we want to make a few introductions. Johnny Hankerson has someone with him today. Johnny, who did you bring?
Brother Nathaniel Hankerson from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Mr. Hankerson is Johnny as great as he tells us he is. Okay. I want to recognize Maurice Jones. He drove up from Jacksonville. He brought the second part of his $1,000 pledge, $500 for the women's program. You know, Maurice is getting up in age, and he forgot that he had already paid $500. And he called me and said, I'm going to bring you your $1,000 Wednesday. And I said, Maurice, you've already paid $500. And he said, no, I haven't. And I said, well, okay. Bring the 1,000 on, Maurice. And Roosevelt Freeman. Roosevelt Freeman is 109 years old. And he drives up from Jacksonville and drives back the same day. He comes up just for the luncheon. And ladies and gentlemen, the American Football Coaches Association Regional Coach of the Year, Coach Simmons. Right. Standing ovation. Why don't we have a round of applause for Coach Simmons, too? Coach, I was shocked when I pulled up here and somebody was parked in your space. And we found out that that car was there before we put the signs out. And we couldn't find out who it was. So I ordered Wilma to move her car. But about 10 p.m. last night, I got this text message from Coach Simmons that he would be here today. And I was very pleased to hear that because, he first told me he wasn't going to be here. Leroy, that joke is better than the one you gave me. I asked Coach what was more important, the Celebration Bowl press conference or 220 Quarterback Club. And you can see. I suppose they're still having the press conference going. The American Football Coaches Association Regional Coach of the Year. This is the second year in a row, isn't it? Yeah. I only made 1 year. There was one other thing I wanted to say. I wanted to tell a story, but I remembered that I've told it about 4 or 5 times before. I've got it. I've seen it. Leroy, I'm grading your jokes ABC. This one is a C plus, so I'm gonna save it for later on. Coach, my wife has warned me not to talk about my ideas before running them by people. But I'm in charge. Okay. I decide. I think that regarding the Celebration Bowl, win, lose, or draw, that there's a certain level of momentum that has been created for the Rattlers, I think probably nationwide. And I talked to Mr. Cobb, who finally got his act together, and we need to have a planning session after football season in January to see how we can take advantage of this momentum for the football program. I don't think we need to wait till the summer to do that. So if you're okay, that's something that we'll look into. So without further ado, and I know you hate for me to get up, move from here. The American Football Coaches Association Regional Coach of the Year, Coach Willie Simmons of the Florida A&M Rattlers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. It's always a pleasure to be here. So the press conference is still happening tomorrow. We actually got a later flight out today, so blessed to be able to be here to fellowship with you all, because you guys are such a vital part of this entire season, and I don't want to say that lightly. Like, we really can't do what we do without your help, your support. Told you that many times before, but could never say it enough. So thank you guys so much for just your unwavering commitment. Obviously, winning makes it sometimes easier to give and to support. But this group has been there, again, win, lose, or draw. And that's very important to me as a head coach of this program. It's very important to our young men as well. So thank you guys again for all you do. Last weekend obviously was a special day, a historic day for FAMU football, for this university to be able to bring our first of many SWAC championships to the highest of Seven Hills. The good Lord saw fit to bring some dark clouds over the horizon for the whole weekend, and which caused many of you and many others to not be able to see the game in person. But there still was a great crowd for the ones who did make it. It was truly a great crowd, a great atmosphere. The Marching 100 was there in their tarps, and they were still playing, and a lot of fans were there screaming and yelling. And even after the lightning delays, which caused the stands to be emptied, when they came back out, they they came back out with them. So it was truly a special feeling to see that. A great atmosphere there the entire game. So our guys came out and handled that adversity really well, and took care of business against a team that came in, obviously with the same goal in mind as we did. That's the one thing about championship games. It really doesn't matter what happened during the season. It didn't matter that we were the higher rated team. Didn't matter that we had the better record. Didn't matter we had both offensive and defensive players of the year. Didn't matter we had the conference coach of the year. Whoever won that game was going to go on to Atlanta to represent the SWAC in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. And so they had just as much of an opportunity to do it as we did. And our guys went out and took care of business, and in the fashion that we've done all season. So we were able to start fast. Got a big interception on the first drive of the game, and was able to come down and hit Marcus Riley on a big play there by him to get us down to the 1 yard line and score to go up 7-0. Got a stop. The next drive was able to drive down the field again and go up 14-0. And then before you know it, we were up 21-0, and it kind of put the game away. So it was just a great game start to finish. Even though the finish was 5 hours long, but it was well worth every second of it. Again, just extremely grateful for your support, throughout this season. We got one more. All the goals that we've set for ourselves this season, we've checked off the vast majority of them. As far as football goes, some of them are long-term goals as far as graduating our guys in 4.5 years and continuing to build a championship culture. But as far as those attainable, tangible goals, winning the Classic, beating all of our natural rivals, winning all of our home games, winning the East, winning the SWAC, all those boxes have been checked. The only one left is the Celebration Bowl, and obviously we're preparing for that one next week. We've been on the field since yesterday and had 2 really good days in. We'll take tomorrow off because I'll be going to the press conference, and then we'll come back Friday for a practice, give them Saturday off, and then we'll be right back at it on Sunday. And so we're really excited about this opportunity. Obviously, we won't be able to meet next week because we leave next Wednesday to head up to Atlanta. And so all the questions about Howard, definitely look forward to answering those today. But they're a good football team. They're well coached. They're the conference champions, so obviously they're a team that we got to be ready for. And much like years past, the records can't really dictate how we prepare. The last 2 years, the SWAC came in with a much better record, undefeated in conference play, nationally ranked 2 years in a row, and 2 years in a row, the lower ranked MEAC team won the game. So Coach Carter has a saying. Our receiver coach has a saying that that don't let every experience be through an experience. So we don't have to experience let down. We can learn from other people's mistakes, and so we can learn from what happened the last couple of years to understand that we got to go into the game locked in and focus on what we have to do. So again, really excited about the opportunity, and I can't wait to get to Atlanta. I know a lot of you guys can't wait to get to Atlanta. You may not see Roy Moore till kickoff, but I don't think he's here today. He may be already in Atlanta. So, Tommy, I don't think they have casinos in Atlanta, so you got to find something else to do there in Montgomery. So you're going to take Tommy will take the west route and go up through Columbus, obviously. So the rest of y'all could probably go up through Tifton or through Albany that way. Tommy's going to go west and have some fun before he heads up. So more than welcome to do that. But really excited about the game and really excited about where we are as a program. Like Eddie said, there's just so much momentum within the program, within the school, just nationally with everything that's going on. So let's ride that momentum. We are blessed to be able to host the Florida High School Athletic Association State Championship Series starting tomorrow. So every state championship, all 15 teams, 15, I think it's 15, 4, 3, I got to do my math, 12. 12 champions will be crowned between tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And so look forward to hosting those guys, those coaches, those players, allowing them to play on our field. And I think it will go a long way as far as our recruitment, being that they'll be able to be here in the capital city and experience Florida A&M. So it's really excited. We're really excited about that as well. But again, thank you guys again. Definitely will open the floor for questions now. And before I go home and pack to get ready to head to Atlanta. So Eddie, we'll let you start it off. Not than we are now. They were ranked higher than us when they played. Yes, sir. So, so of course, if you had asked people probably in week, the question was Howard beat North Carolina Central handily, 50-20. And so Central was a team all season that was rated higher than us for much of the season. They were the only black college team ranked higher than we were. And at that time, I think they were either top 10 in the country, somewhere up in those numbers, and had beat Howard. They had scored 50 on Howard the year before. And so they went in and played this season, and Howard, I mean, they beat them like a drum. And so, the question was basically, how did that happen? Again, Howard's a good football team. I think North Carolina Central is a good football team. But, on any given Saturday, the team that prepares the best and that does the things it takes to win games typically win them. And when you watch that game, I was able to watch it live. I was sitting in my office. They played before we did, so I got to see the first half. Howard played harder. It looked like Howard played much harder than Central. That could be attributed to a lot of things. I think their Central's coach, Trey Oliver, was a phenomenal coach. So I don't think it was that he didn't get them ready to play. Much like we were concerned about last week. I think the only concern any Rattler had last week was, Coach, y'all beat them 45-7 4 weeks ago. So are you guys going to be motivated to go in and play well when y'all beat them by 38 points? Well, again, Central had beat Howard. They scored 50 on Howard in 22. And so much of the same players, same staff. And so I don't know if Central kind of took them as serious as maybe they should have. And so I think that could be attributed to it. Howard was able to hit some explosive plays early. They had a lot of long runs. The quarterback was able to break free on some plays, and they were able to get some early momentum, which I think took Central out of their game plan. Central has a very dynamic quarterback who, if he can kind of get in a rhythm, he can hurt you. But they kind of made Central one-dimensional because they got up, I think, by 21 points, and so it forced Central to throw the ball, which that's not their strength. I think their strength is being able to be balanced, being able to run the quarterback, lean on the offensive line, and they weren't able to do that. So couple that with just, again, Howard was very opportunistic, and they were better that day. So yeah, I mean they're a dangerous team. This team played Northwestern University early in the season, which is in the Big 12, and they had Northwestern on the ropes. At one time, they were up on Northwestern. I can't remember the final score, but I think it was a one-score game. They played Eastern Michigan, which is an FBS opponent out of the MAC, and had it not been for 2 kick returns for touchdowns, they probably beat Eastern Michigan. And so again, they are a formidable opponent. They're 4-1 in conference. They did drop a game to South Carolina State, but again, they're the best team in the MEAC. So we got to definitely be ready to play. Again, can't take them for granted. But like I said, like we always say, it's about us. It's not really about Howard. It's about us, how we prepare, how we do what we do, and play our game. If we play our game, I don't think there's a team out there that can beat us. We just got to make sure that we take care of the football and not give them anything cheap. And that'll be the game plan. well, I so 2-part question. One about South Carolina State and how they were able to run the ball against them, and then obviously the second one was about shutting Jay Walker up. I don't think it's possible to shut Jay up. I've been knowing Jay now for probably over 10 years, and all Jay's gonna do is move the goalpost. So you start talking about the football game, he's going to bring it back to academics. You start talking about academics, he's going to talk about the band. He's going to find a way to shift the narrative to whatever he wants to talk about. And Tiffany's a professional. So Tiffany sits there professional on TV, and she's going to represent FAMU in the first-class manner that she always does. And I really admire Tiffany for that, for not being drawn in, because he tries to poke the bear every chance he gets. And you can see sometimes she'll kind of give him that look like, boy, if we went on TV. But she keeps her composure, and she lets him kind of just do his thing. But yeah. So again, we may quiet him for a little bit, but trust me, he's gonna be quiet because it's the last game of the season, so he won't get a mic again until next football season. But trust and believe, by that time he'll be right back at it, at his old antics. But as far as that game, you're right. South Carolina State did kind of have their way rushing the ball. But it was based on some really, really dynamic runs by some of South Carolina State's running backs. Again, broke a lot of tackles, was able to get free on some things. So they're going to challenge you. Defensively, they like to keep a lot of guys near the line of scrimmage. And so now the interesting thing, and I told the defense that yesterday morning, we have now, because of our game last week in South Dakota State's game, we're ranked second nationally in total defense. We were first, but now we're a close second to South Dakota State. So we're near the top of the country in many defensive categories. Well, Howard leads the nation in pass defense. They're the number one passing defense in the country. And that's very interesting because when you look at them on film, they are loading the box. They are key. I mean, their deep middle safety will literally line up about 8 yards from the line of scrimmage on many plays. And so they're overcommitting to stopping the run, but they somehow lead the nation in pass defense. And so that's something where they're going to challenge you. They're going to challenge our receivers out wide to win one-on-one matchups. All right, and so that's going to be a challenge for Marcus Riley, for K-Dot, for Manigo, Nick Dixon, Jamari Gassett, and those guys, even our tight ends. We have to be able to win one-on-one matchups on the outside to keep them from just stacking the box and making it difficult for us to run the football. So again, it's a great challenge to see if our receivers can live up to their name of Rack Boys. We're going to need them to be Rack Boys in a week and a half to be able to counter what Howard likes to do defensively, and we're looking forward to that challenge as well. So, yes, sir. So the question about the transfer portal, when a student athlete enters the transfer portal, it goes either way. So student athletes at that point can contact schools. Schools can also contact the prospective student athlete. And you'll laugh when you'll kind of gasp when I say this. A college coach can go to another school's campus to recruit a student athlete in the transfer portal. So if a young man enters the portal, a school can literally come to your campus to recruit him because that's where he is. He's in the portal now. So you could conceivably see schools from our conference walking across our campus to go see our guys if they're in the transfer portal. And but yeah, they don't have to get permission to do it. They go to compliance. They tell compliance they want to enter the portal. I get an email alert to confirm it, and at that point they're in the transfer portal. So it is different than it used to be when we had to go into the coach's office and request a transfer. You no longer have to do that. But yes, once they officially enter, then it allows them to be recruited, which means they can receive calls, they can start taking visits, they can be seen by coaches in person. It really opens up the recruiting process. Yes, sir.
Those 2 4th and 1 calls, were you just practicing the offensive line?
The 4th and 1 calls. The first one, I took a page out of Tommy Mitchell's book. It was truly a gamble. We had the lightning delays, and you really not say worry, but you want to make sure the guys are going. It's like, hey, let's get some juice, let's get some life, and so it really was a kind of a gamble, a challenge to see if we could. It was 4th and 1, and so the challenge was, hey, can we get a yard? It's a championship game. We feel like we have a solid offensive line. Can we get a yard? And we didn't. The first time we didn't. The second time we did. So we were 1 for 2 on those. But much like I said, I think it was on my call on Monday. When you have a defense that's as dominant as ours, it allows you to take those type of chances, and gamble a little bit. And because again, you figure if we don't get it, even though you kind of put the defense in a bad position, giving the other team the ball on the plus side of the field, that we'd hold up. Now they did score on that drive that we didn't get it, but I think that pissed the defense off enough they shut them out the rest of the way. And so, but yeah, they're calculated risk at the end of the day, and as a coach, that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to make decisions, just like any other leader. We get paid to make decisions, and the difference between football and sports and most other professions is the outcome of my decision happens immediately. So you see right then whether that was a good decision or a bad decision. When a company decides to lay off workers or do whatever, you won't see it until the next quarter. So it takes 3 months to say, okay, we made this decision in January. Now it's April. Did we make the right decision? Well, you guys know right away if Coach Simmons is a genius or you know what. And but again, you make them, you live with them, and the thing you try to do is you coach your team to respond to whatever happens, right? If you convert it, great. You go down and you score. The last one we went for, we got it. We scored the next play. We didn't get it the first time. They got it. They scored. But that's football. That's sports. That's what happens. And you can't go around second guessing yourself. I think that's the biggest thing, because if you do, you'll never be able to be an effective leader if you second guess every decision. If you don't have the mental capacity or the thick skin to be able to take the criticism when you make a decision and it doesn't work, you're not going to be a great leader. I didn't make the fourth down call, and when we didn't get it, my first thought was, God dang it, I got to go to 220 on Wednesday. It wasn't my first thought. It's probably my second, but it wasn't my first thought. So, I'm gonna continue to lead because of the defense we have, and when they're playing well, it does allow me to take certain risk at times. It also allows me to play more conservative at times. And the reality of it is, I'm going to get criticized for both. There are going to be times where I decide to punt the ball on 4th and 1. And then I'll come in to an interview and they'll say, well, Coach, hey, why didn't you go for it right there? Because we got a great defense. We're going to make them drive the field. There'll be times where I go for it on 4th and 1. And if we don't get it, there'll be questions about, why I made that decision. So, it's just, again, it's part of it. Eddie, I called Eddie. His phone went straight to voicemail, so I don't know what was going on at the time. I think it was the weather. And so I said, well, usually he'll direct me on what to do in these situations, but he wasn't available. So the last time he just shot me a quick text, said go for it. And so the last one I went for it and we got it. First time he wasn't available, so that's what happens. So injury-wise across the board, we're probably in as good a shape as we've been in a long time. I think the consecutive off weeks have really helped us. There are a couple of guys that we're still getting double, triple treatment to see if we can get them closer to game ready. But I think everyone played last week who's been playing, and they were able to hold up for the duration of the game. So, this is game 13. It's been a long season, been a physical season, but aside from the guys that we lost early in the year, we've been blessed to not have any season-ending injuries that have hurt us. So, we got to get them through another week of practice, but I think we'll roll into the game really, really healthy.
Online it says, how are we doing with recruiting with NIL playing a role in players' decisions?
So as far as recruitment, we are active. We're actively recruiting guys from the transfer portal. We've already been actively recruiting high school prospective student athletes. And, NIL is a real thing. I actually literally got off the phone with a prospective student athlete just a minute ago and talking to he and his dad. And the dad flat out asked, he said, well, Coach, what are you guys doing as far as NIL? And, I kind of give them all the same pitch. We do have some guys on our team that have some NIL deals, but you're not coming here to quote unquote get rich, because we're not really offering the 6-figure NIL deals that a lot of other schools are potentially offering. So you're not coming to FAMU to get rich next year. You come to FAMU to get rich in 5 years. And so if you take care of your business in the classroom, do what you got to do on the football field, keep yourself out of trouble, you will get rich with a FAMU degree and playing football at FAMU. So, that's just the selling point, is what FAMU can do for you in your future, not necessarily what financially can do for you today. And so, the young men that we bring into the program, they understand that, and their parents understand that. So they're not here with their hands out, saying every day, Coach, where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? And there are schools that are like that. You hear stories all the time. If you follow that, there are a lot of young men that are coming out now saying that those NIL deals they were promised, people aren't making good on. And so it is a changing landscape. It is a real concern throughout collegiate athletics that recruiting is being driven by NIL. And so we're fortunate to be in a space where that's not the case for us. we're not battling schools who that is the case for as well. I think the young men that come to us want an opportunity to play the game, to be a part of a winning program, to get a great education, and to be around a staff that's going to care about them and develop them the way they need to get them a chance to be successful in life. And that's what we sell, you know. So the guys that want those, that the first thing they do is ask about NIL money, they're not coming to FAMU. And frankly, we don't need them at FAMU. We'll find the guys that want to play good football, go to class, get a great degree, and do it the way that it was designed to do 100 years ago when we started playing college football.
James, nature boy. They were elementary ed majors along with me. Coach, they came to class. They did what they had to do. When it was time for them to leave, they left with that graduation diploma in their head. So they were not only athletes, but they went to class. Now, if they didn't understand something, one but 5 men in elementary ed and 30 women. But at least they came to class. Always say, Dr. Mercer, White, all those people say they came to class. And so they all got degrees. Major was an administrator up there in Chicago. Nature Boy is a minister now. Nature Boy married one of those girls, married ago. But I'm just saying, in line with what you're saying, they went to class. And when you went to go to class, somebody always will reach out to help you. But if you're just waiting in the dormitory and not going, you don't have any friends. The other thing, Eddie, I was able to give you the rest of that money because on September the 12th, I booked my room for Atlanta. They might not go. I said, okay, put your money where your mouth is. She said, if we go, I'm paying for the hotel room. So, Eddie,
Well, first off, we need to talk offline because I ain't bold enough to bet my wife some money like that. Like, she gonna pay for something? Yeah, that's not happening. But but no, you're spot on about guys and class attendance and those things. Now the school education has a lot more than 35 students now, but but no, it's spot on. And that's our pitch when we talk about recruiting. The good thing is we can sell a degree from a top 100 public institution. I mean, that's a huge deal, and parents, you they light up when they hear that. Like I said, the young man that I was talking to, he's a current graduate student. And he's in business, and I said, well, look, this may sound like recruiting talk to you. I said, but there ain't many better business places in the world than FAMU School of Business and Industry. I said, so if that's what you want to do, this conversation can be really quick. Like, there ain't a whole lot of selling we got to do for SBI. And so just the opportunity for him to come in and get a degree from our School of Business and Industry, a master's degree, again, you can't, there ain't many places that can sell something better than that, because whatever money NIL he can get somewhere else, he's gonna make that tenfold with a business degree from FAMU if he utilizes it and takes advantage of it the right way. So, but again, going to class, doing your study table, taking advantage of the resources that we have academically is what it's going to take for our guys to continue to do what we need to do in the classroom that will allow us to do what we're doing next week, which is play in a postseason game and be able to win a national championship, as well as bring about $1.5 million back to the institution, through the Celebration Bowl. So, again, definitely we remind them of that daily. Yep, Tommy? Couple of three things. That's
talking fundamental about, because that's what much coaching is about in terms of how you coach. So I want to get that off the chest. I don't need no money. I'm not trying to get no money.
So yeah, you ain't get money from me, because I don't have any. But no, you know what my wife makes. I coach for free. My check goes home to my wife.
I was always in favor of the players getting money, but I wish at some point money is put in escrow for all of the players. And when they graduate, they get the money, rather than have to deal with this money thing while they're playing. And so I wish at some point they get to that, because, let everybody benefit, because, the coaches been making too much money to the players. And so that's it. And so that was my concern.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something that's been, talked about, and not sure where they are with that. You know, the issue with NIL at this point is that it's not governed. There is no governance to NIL. It's totally independent. So the schools really don't have any control of it, even though the NCAA just recently passed a bylaw that will allow schools to basically invest into a collective themselves. They have to invest at least $30,000 into it. Now, obviously, because of Title IX, it has to be split. So if you're going to do 30,000, 15,000 go to the women, 15,000 go to the men. But that's the minimum. They can commit a minimum of $30,000 a year to start a school-wide NIL collective. So obviously, Eddie talked about planning. We'll sit down and put our heads together, with VP Sykes and, our key stakeholders, and try to figure out what direction we want to head in as far as all those things go. But you're right. It's kind of a free for all right now, because as coaches we can't control it. We don't get to say, hey, I want Eddie Jackson to receive this much. I want Tommy Mitchell to get this much. I want Selvin Cobb to get this. We don't get to do that. Whoever is providing the NIL gets to dictate who they give it to. So if someone wants to come and say, hey, FAMU, I have $1 million in NIL money I want to give, they can literally give it to one person if they wanted to. And I don't get to say, well, no, that's not fair. I want to divide it amongst my whole team. It's their money. They get to do what they want to do with it. And that's where a lot of the issues are coming in. And so you have, coaches that are promising high school or transfer student athletes in NIL money to come there, where they already have players on the team who are playing, who are all conference, who are doing things that aren't getting it. And so it's causing issues in the locker room, obviously. So again, there are a lot of factors that are changing the landscape of collegiate athletics, intercollegiate athletics. And, we as administrators have to be very, very strategic as to how we navigate that, because it is a new space, and it's a space that's not going anywhere. Name, image, and likeness isn't going anywhere. The transfer portal isn't going anywhere. And so we got to be up to date with it. You got to have a plan for it, because just as much as you can get players from other schools, trust and believe, they'll be recruiting players from our school. They're not supposed to, but it happens. And so we bring in a freshman, and he is freshman All-American, or has a high grade when it comes to the rankings. Teams are going to try to recruit him off of our campus. That running back that you alluded to earlier from that institution that gave them fits, he's in the transfer portal and will no longer play football at that place. And he's only been there for a year. He's a freshman. And so that's what happens, and that's the risk you run when you have a young guy that does extremely well. And so it's definitely a changing landscape. So you said 3, that was on the 2. Well, I will say that our defense is special. They are one of a kind. Now, I'm a little bit of a historian, not nearly as much as Vaughn or some of the other people. Now Jake had a defense that gave up like 12 points a year, 12 points in the whole season one year. So probably not as dominant as that defense. They had like 10 shutouts. But no, I told this group in the beginning of the season that they had a chance to be one of the top defenses that have come around here in a long time. And they've committed themselves to doing that. And like you said, when, I'm never really worried, just because I know they're going to get it together. They're just a dominant unit. So we're blessed to have that. Hold on, let me get an online question here. Oh, go ahead, Vaughn.
Yesterday I had a rare opportunity as I was going to see Coach. And he told me to come to his office. The quarterbacks were in there. They were watching film on Howard. And I swear, as they were going from play to play, 3 seconds after the next play came on, Jeremy Wilson was calling out the defense. I mean, literally, the play was just up there. By the time you turned to it, he was recognizing the defense. Had he seen that before, or is that just?
No, Jeremy's he's a very cerebral quarterback. That's one of the things that makes him, the player that he is. So yeah, he understands football. He understands coverages. He understands concepts. I mean, he's just again, he's a grad student, so he takes class. Most of his classes are online, so he kind of has a lot of time to watch film. He and Eddie have their weekly quarterback session. So Ed is really teaching them about. That's really what it is. So we're blessed to have the quarterback guru, Eddie Kelly here, not Eddie Kelly, Eddie Jackson, to really get our guys going, and that Player of the Year trophy, it goes to him. So.
Some years ago, and we was out eating one day, and he said, "Cuz, come on, sit down and eat with me." And he started talking about his recruiting. He said, let me tell you something. When I get them top-notch players, come over to FSU, he said, I bring them to that good-looking FAMU school, before I take them anywhere. He said, that's how we get it. So there was some NIL money.
I will say this. I think a school close to us benefits tremendously from our proximity. You will look up a lot of days and see a lot of their student athletes roaming our campus, and they're not there. They're not in the field house. They're not on the football field. They are at the calf. They are on the set. And but and that was always kind of, even when I came out of high school, that was our thing. We had we had National Signing Day my senior year, obviously, and we had a big signing class there at Shanks, probably the biggest one they've ever had. We had 8 guys sign Division I scholarships that year, and so we were all suited and booted, and this is our special day. And so we had our ceremony about 10 a.m., signed all of our NLIs, letters of intent. And as soon as the festivities were over, we jumped in our cars and we drove to the set. And we walked across campus with our suits on. They all thought we SBI students, obviously. So, but no, that was always the big thing to do. So, yeah, I definitely think that. And we have a unique setup. There are other cities that have a major Power 5 institution in an HBCU. Baton Rouge has that. Durham has that, with Duke and Central. But if you go to Baton Rouge, LSU's on one side of town, Southern's always on the other side of town. Not sure the proximity between Duke and Central, but it ain't a mile across the track. So I think the proximity between the two schools has a lot to do with that. But yeah, no, they definitely benefit tremendously from having the best HBCU in the world right across the street. So. I think we had one back in the back. Yes, sir.
We did say that the best recruits we ever had was Florida A&M University. So he did make that comment. The other one is Jalen Ross. Is he lost to the university, or is he qualified for medical?
So Jalen Goss, right now we're in the process of applying for a medical hardship for him, so that he will get another year of eligibility. So we feel really good about it. Obviously, we haven't gotten word back from them yet officially, but he passes all the criteria to receive another year eligibility. So Right now, we're recruiting under the assumption that we'll get Jalen Goss for another year. He was our starting left tackle, but he's been out all year with an injury, and so we anticipate getting him back next year.
And went to the portal, then came out of the portal, then went back in the portal. Now we she's back in. What do you what happened?
Well, again, he's not in the portal anymore, so I can't technically speak on his, won't not name him, but, you know, that, yeah. So, yeah, just know that that'll probably be a lesson for a lot of guys moving forward. Sometimes the grass is greener, sometimes it's not, and but again, it's one thing about me. I'm always honest with our guys. I'm always honest, and so. That's the one downside. Well, not the one. There are a few of them, but to me, the biggest downside to the transfer portal is that the young men and women, because it's for all sports, they can enter the portal with no guidance. Like they don't have to talk to us. Oftentimes, a player will leave because of the coaches. They feel they're not getting an opportunity, or they feel they're not getting whatever the case may be. So they may not want to talk to the coaches. But I think any guy who's been in this program can tell you that we're going to be honest with them. They may not like what we have to say, but we're going to be honest. And so when we've had a few guys in the portal, we haven't had many, but everyone that's entered the portal, if I've had a chance to talk to them, I give them information that I receive from NFL scouts from other places. And advise them on what needs to be done. And oftentimes the scouts specifically say they need to stay here. They need to stay in school because for a couple of reasons. One, the scouts already know who you are. So they know they're coming to FAMU to see this specific individual. Well, when you transfer and go somewhere else, now they have to go and kind of dig you up and find you, and you may have changed numbers and all those kind of things. So it makes it increasingly difficult for scouts to track you down once you leave. Two, because of the COVID waiver and guys getting an extra year, it's sometimes hard to know what their eligibility is. And so if they're at the original school, you can easily go to compliance or go and say, hey, how long have they been here? How long have they played? And they can kind of check do their own internal homework. But the last one, which is probably the most important one, is that here, unlike many places nationally, we give NFL scouts unlimited access to our student athletes. They can watch the entire practice. They can go in and come in any time of day and watch film. They can even visit with the young men and interview them at our place. Believe it or not, at many schools, particularly Power 5 schools, the coaches give them a small window to watch practice. So they'll let them watch it during individual drills when they're just kind of running around doing things. But as soon as they get to any type of team periods, because of fear of maybe this scout knows a coach at this other school or whatever, they make the scouts leave. So they may only get to see a certain part. And so if you're a scout that's coming to Tallahassee, obviously you're going to go to Florida State and FAMU. Well, we practice early in the morning. So if you come to our place and your time runs a little bit over, because we end practice about 8:30, Florida State starts probably about 9 or maybe a little bit. So you're kind of rushing to get from ours to theirs. Well, if something happened and you had to stop and get coffee or whatever happened, you may miss that window that coach allows them to watch. So you may not see the guy at all. And so the scouts really say, Coach, I don't know. I mean, like your play, we love coming to your play because you give us unlimited access. And so guys just have to, understand that you may think you're getting a better opportunity, but ask Marquise Bell if he needed to transfer to be the starting linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys in the second leading tackler. Ask Isaiah Land if he needed to transfer to play for the Indianapolis Colts. Ask Xavier Smith if he needed to transfer to play for the Los Angeles Rams. Ask a lot of other guys who left HBCUs and transferred to Power 5s and G5s if it was the right move, because not many of those guys, if any, made it to the next level. And that's just the raw reality. So I wish there was a system where they can be guided and given stats and real information as opposed to making an emotional decision. Because once you enter the portal At that point, a coach has has every right to completely remove you from the program. He can clean your locker out. They can technically remove you from aid. They can block you from resources at the institution. They can do anything they want to do once you enter the transfer portal because you're saying you're no longer part of that team. And so it's a situation where there are thousands of guys right now today, and the portal only been open for a few days in the transfer portal. There aren't 1,000 scholarship opportunities out there. 3,000. There aren't 3,000 scholarships available, right? So a vast majority of those young men will not re-sign scholarships to play football. And the raw reality of it is, of those 3,000, the vast majority look like everybody in this room. And so imagine how many young men who are first-time college students who families aren't affluent or don't have that are now sitting there and don't have a way to get their schooling paid for. That's the part that infuriates me about the portal, and that's the part that nobody's talking about. So and something needs to be done about that.
I just got to training about the 3,000 that then the transfer portal since November 26th. My question is, so the bowl game, who going to be officiating that game?
I have not gotten. The Mid American Conference officials will be officiating the game. Yeah, so we don't have any experience with them. Howard does because they played Eastern Michigan, but that's about it. So in bowl games, that's the playoff games, bowl games. They pick crews from other conferences, and so yeah, we'll have a Mid American crew, and I get to meet them before the game and talk to them like I do every officiating crew. And but hey, we'll see what happens. Yes, sir.
Just another observation about your defense and also a question. Tommy raised this. It's very special defense. It even has the sports announcers confused about who actually makes the tackle. I'm serious. Tiffany and Jay were saying, well, who made that tackle? We'll just give it to the whole defensive line. Accompanied by Isaiah Mayer. Several times they had to do that. And that's just the kind of team effort your defense went for. Wanted to share that with you. The question I have is, Howard seems to be a team that plays 60 minutes. They don't stop. And I know that's been the mantra that you've tried to establish all year long, and also to execute. And they've done that for the most part. And how are your players looking at this game? I think I can automatically assume that what you told them is basically the same thing you told them all year long.
Well, so yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah, Howard, they're right. So we're approaching this game like we've approached the other 12 games this season. We understand that it's not about Howard, just like it wasn't about Prairie View either time. It wasn't about the little school down in Daytona. It wasn't about anybody we played. It's been about us and how we prepare and how we lock in and focus on game day. That's really what it boils down to. On paper, we're the better team. We're bigger, we're faster, we're stronger, we're more explosive. All of those things are true. That doesn't guarantee victory. So for us, we have to make sure that we keep the main thing, and control what we can control. We control how locked in we are. So when they give us different formations, with a month to prepare, inevitably they'll show us something that we probably hadn't seen. They got a whole lot of time to try some things out, trick plays, all that kind of stuff. But if they snap the ball 70 times, that's probably only 5 plays if they give us something we hadn't seen. We just got to be smart in those. Don't give up the big play. But the other 65 plays, they're going to run plays that they've run all season long. So for us, can we focus in enough to recognize those formations? Can we recognize where the good players are that they're trying to get the ball and neutralize them on offense? Can we identify their defense and know the coverage? Like Vaughn said, can Moose recognize the coverage and understand that in this particular play, this is where we need to attack them? That's what it boils down to. I mean, it's a football game. So, you've never seen a game where every play is a trick play. It's going to be 60 minutes of who can execute, who can stay poised, because they're going to be emotional swings both ways. They'll make some plays. They're conference champion. We're going to make some plays. We're conference champion. Which team can stay poised for 60 minutes and not ride the emotional roller coaster and let the momentum take them out of the game? That's what it's going to boil down to. So we talked to our guys about that. We don't really focus on what the other team is doing. We're going to say, this is what they do well. This is what we can attack them. To us, that's the game plan. They do some things well that we got to be mindful of. They have some flaws, weaknesses that we have to exploit, and we got to be prepared for those. If we do that, we just fine. So not concerned that they play 60 minutes or what they do. I'm concerned that our guys go in and understand the magnitude of the game, but we don't have to be different because it's the Celebration Bowl. We don't have to do anything different than we've done all season. Be who we are. The last thing we say before we take the field, coming out of the locker room, we pray together. We have a football chant that we say together. We recite our 7 F's. And after the last F, I say we are, and we all yell FAMU. Just go be FAMU. If we go be FAMU, we're gonna be just fine. And that's all we have to do. So not really concerned about them. It's all about us. So Miss Jerry got a question, so I'll take. The players were awarded championship shirts right after the game. So the conference had a allotted number that they just kind of passed out to the players right after the game. So they have them. Mm-hmm. So we do have those shirts. I think there's a white shirt that a lot of the guys got right after the game. Not sure if they put them on right then or in the locker room, but I did see some pictures of them in the locker room. But we do all have black shirts that we wore yesterday morning, and we took a team photo in those shirts with the SWAC championship hat. So we have a championship hat, a championship shirt that we took a team photo in this morning. Not sure if when they passed them out Saturday after the game, I'm not sure that it was organized enough, because it was kind of chaotic after the game. I didn't even talk to them after the game. It was chaotic. But yes, we do have championship shirts that. Yeah, it'll be more organized for the Celebration Bowl. Yeah. I don't know why Eddie waving his hand like he motioning, but clearly he ain't trying to lay the law down. I don't know what he's doing. You stretching? Are you stretching over there? I think Ed is stretching because he. So as far as our practice format, we've already practiced twice this week. Again, we won't practice tomorrow. We'll practice again Friday. The question was, how will our practice format work with the state championship series? So we'll practice Friday morning, like we always do, and we'll be off the field before the first state championship game is at 10 a.m. And so we'll be off the field before the teams need to get out there and start warming up. So that won't be an issue. And then, like I said, the games are Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We won't practice Saturday. We won't practice Thursday. So the only day we will practice is Friday, but we'll be off the field before they get started. They don't use they will not use our locker room. They won't have access to our locker room. So as far as spring football goes, we do right now plan to have a walk-on tryout. Obviously, we will get the information out once we get back and set a date. But right now, the plan is to have a walk-on tryout for men or women who want to come be a part of the football team. So we have, how many we have graduating or that have already graduated? We have 6 young men who will graduate this fall. We have 26 of them who've already graduated, and but the 6 guys who are graduating will delay their walking until the spring, because commencement is the Friday before, obviously, the Celebration Bowl. So we didn't want to have to try to logistically do that. So Well, a couple of them, it actually worked out anyway. One of them sisters graduating this spring, so he was like, it works out best. My parents ain't got to travel here twice. They can just come one time. So, but yeah, all 6 guys that are graduating they'll graduate this fall, but they'll delay their walking across the stage until the spring. We'll bus to Atlanta. Yeah, we'll bus to Atlanta. Yeah, I mean it's 4 hours, so it'll be the shortest trip we had all year. And we're leaving early. We're leaving really, really early in the week. So, yeah, we got plenty of time. What's going on, baby? Thank you. Thank you. Don't get soft on me now. We got one more. We got one more. You okay?
You did such a marvelous job. You all, you, the staff, and all the team. I'm really, really proud of you. Um, when you get there, if we can work on a little bit more discipline, unnecessary penalties that give them too much access to the opponent team, and they have a tendency to execute on those penalties that we make. Um, some of them are truly unnecessary. Unsportsmanlike conduct and all of that, that hurts us real bad. So we got to work on that discipline. And you can call me anytime.
When you think about it, we'll go get back to you. But now you're right about the discipline. That's and and even Saturday, I for the first time on air, I said use a bad word on air. Um, yeah, yeah. Because it was, yeah, I mean, it was distract. Just got to the point where it was distracting, and and the guys know, like I said, that's not FAMU. That doesn't represent us, and we gotta make sure we play the game the right way and do things the way it's supposed to be done, and we'll get that done. They're fiery, they compete, and sometimes they cross the line a little bit.
Yeah, if one of your players go in the transfer portal and decide to change mind, come back, not come back.
If a player goes into the portal and changes his mind, uh, it's a case by case basis. It's a case by case basis. So there's no hard yes, there's no hard no. It's case by case. I know sometimes guys are emotional and they do things. The ones who entered it early, I kind of anticipated it, so they're not gonna try to come back. But if one does now, we'll have to talk about it. How you doing? Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Really means a lot. And you say you know what we go through. No, you don't. No, you don't. Y'all have no clue what we deal with from these knuckleheads on a daily basis. It's a good thing they're good football players, because I'm gonna leave you for a few days. I promise you that celebration bowl. I'm gonna go hiding away for a few days. And then we'll get back to work. So, but I will enjoy myself for a few days. I actually smiled after the game after this one. Hey, it's been Vicky.
games like Remember the Titan, All American, it's gonna come in, that element of differences of opinions, and even players may be having to go at it sometimes, or even maybe coaches. What do you do as far as those attitudes, behaviors, personalities that creep in that's not with the family atmosphere that you must keep together as a team and keep playing together and not to be opponents within your own team?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question, Ms. Johnson, and how do we basically keep I out of team is really in a nutshell what you're asking, and it's increasingly difficult. It gets tougher and tougher every year because of just society. I mean, society is pushing us towards individualism more than towards team. I mean, again, you guys, y'all have seen a lot more than me, been around in many instances more than me. But I haven't in my 43 years ever seen us as divisive as we are, as a society. I mean, every issue has to be one side or the other. Like you got to take one side or the other, regardless of what we're talking about nationally. You got to pick a side, and that just creates divisiveness. And so that creeps into our locker room at times. I told the team this, and we have a gift and a curse. The gift is that we are a very deep, talented football team. We have a lot of really good players. That's a gift. The curse is a lot of really good players can't all play. And so you have to understand and know your role. And so that ego sets in sometimes because they have parents, they have significant others, they have high school coaches who want to know why you aren't playing, why you aren't getting more reps, and those type things. And so the disappointment sets in, the ego sometimes sets in, and so we spend a lot of time, at least I do, addressing what it means to be a team. You have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to put yourself aside for the sake of the team. And I remind them all the time, yes, I get a lot of the praise, a lot of the attention, the accolades, but I cannot do this without the help of everyone. When I walk into my office every day, my trash is empty. I don't have to empty my trash. There's someone in that building whose job is to empty the trash. If they had a bad week and decided, I'm not going to do that, and I walk into a junky office, guess what that does? It affects me. Now I can't do my job, which is lead this program, because I'm too busy taking out my own trash and doing all these other things aside from doing my job. So the role of the custodial worker is very, very important. Cleaning the locker room. Players don't want to go into an empty locker room. It causes tension amongst the players when the locker room is dirty. So I give them those reminders and tell them to thank them. When you see a custodial worker, you thank them. You thank them for doing their job. When I walk in the building, if I see a piece of paper on the trash on the ground, I bend over and pick it up and I throw it in the trash. Because I'm not beyond cleaning up. So the God I serve was a servant. He led through servitude. And so that's my job, is to lead as a servant, to be a servant leader. And I think that message has to continue to be resonated throughout our community, because a lot of times we think leadership means barking orders and telling people what to do. And there's only one person I know that can do that effectively, and that's Eddie Jackson. Well, other than that, the rest of us got to be servants and do so. No, but no, it is something that we talk about a lot. So just leadership, how to lead, how to follow is critical, because a good team can be derailed by that type of behavior. And fortunately for us, we don't have a large amount of that. And the ones we have, we try to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. So last couple questions, I got to get back to staff meeting.
What you said is correct. Every football player that I have talked to that saw my booster shirt on, they said, we thank you for your help. So you are training them the right way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. They know it's hot out there in that cooling station. They know y'all did that. So
Online, it said any new recruits, commits, or transfers to the football team.
cannot announce any recruits until they're officially signed with So just know we are talking to a lot of really good prospective student athletes. We have had some official visits. We will have more before school starts, and we will bring in a really solid mid-year class, and then we'll continue our recruitment going into February when we sign our second class. But we will reload from all the really good players that we've lost this season. So it's that time of year again where for every job that's out there, names will be thrown. Trust and believe that whoever's writing that article isn't hiring the new coach at whatever school is open. Okay, so whether it's an ESPN reporter, whether it's an HBCU reporter, whoever, they're not making those decisions. Oftentimes, they have no inside information as to who's making that decision and haven't talked to them. So, like anything else, there's a list of coaches that every year their names are gonna come up as the next guys who are gonna get. My name has been on that list for 5 years at least. And, so it's just that time of year. So again, Rattler Nation, just know this. When the good Lord calls me to another destination, you won't have to find out in the media, right? You will not find out in the media. I'll stand in front of you guys like I do every year and thank you for your support and tell you that the good Lord is calling me somewhere else. That ain't happened. And so with all these articles and all these things written about me and other coaches, it's just hyperbole. And we're going to win a national championship, and we're going to reload, and we're going to do it again.
Oh, it's good to know that you will be here till 2033. But I also wanted to say that you have a great staff, and I hope that we can keep your staff and everybody with you over the next few years. You continue to be
Yeah. Well, that as you notice, I've brought a lot of local guys to the staff, and that means their families won't let them leave. Well, everybody ain't from here, so we better get ready to pay to keep some of them. Moose is fine. Moose missed a couple of throws. He had been battling a little bit of a shoulder injury, but he's fine. He'll be 100% come game day, and I have zero concerns that Moose will be back to his form, player of the year form, and that with him behind center, I love our chances.
Was that before he started being family or after?
So yeah, Terrell Jennings. Yeah, go ahead. No. Terrell's situation was during high school. His father was deported, and so they weren't able to keep their house. So he was homeless for about in high school. He had to live with a guidance counselor or someone. So that was before he signed at FAMU. Obviously, once we signed him, he was on campus, and he was living in on campus housing, for while he was here. So no, that was before he got here. Yes, sir. All right, last question. Yes, ma'am.
We have a football team. There are other avenues at FAMU we need to discuss when you have your planning committee. Could we have some, little people to give suggestions, maybe a survey to see what's working, what's not working, like that ticket office.
Yes. Well, I think that's a VP Sykes question, and I'm sure she'll be willing to address that whenever she's able to, stand in front of you guys again. I don't think anyone on FAMU's campus is opposed to constructive criticism from our constituents and taking that information and trying to make us better. We're great, but again, I think we say it all the time. Sometimes the worst thing to our community is success, because we sometimes think that we know it all and that we don't have to get better. I mean, everybody, we're at the top of the mountain now. As a football program, we are at the top of the mountain. So that means 11 teams in the SWAC. Every other team in HBCU football is trying to catch us. So we just sit still. Guess what's going to eventually happen? they'll catch us. So that's consistent with our academic programs. That's consistent with our enrollment, with our recruitment of students, with our resources. If we stay stagnant with our giving, if we stay stagnant, we will be surpassed. We brag, we boast about having the largest public endowment of any HBCU. Well, we don't give to it; it's going to stay there, and somebody will eventually pass us, right? So we have to continue to strive to do more every year, and that's what's going to allow us to sustain our place at the top of the mountain academically, athletically, and all the other areas that we have. And that's going to take you guys to assist in those endeavors. So last question, and we'll. Well, we haven't had any situations since I've been here that our players have been. Yeah, so I may get with you and just have you announce that at some point to the team, but fortunate for us, we haven't had a situation since we've been here that we've had to have a player homeless. We have recruited some student athletes that were technically homeless, but obviously once they get there, we put them in on-campus housing, and they're taken care of. But yeah, I do know there are a lot of resources on campus that our student athletes and students in general can benefit from. They need to get that information. So when they're financial challenge, y'all do that for coaches too? Because Christmas is coming up, and I looked at my wife's list yesterday. Where's your office? Yeah, come get this mic before I get in trouble. But no, I really appreciate you guys. Again, next week I will get with Eddie, and no coach will be able to be here. We'll all be gone. But again, we'll leave next Wednesday to head up to Atlanta. We'll be there Wednesday until the game. We know you guys will be making your travel plans, travel arrangements. So be safe up in Magic City and Wakanda. And there's some areas that you can enjoy yourself. There's some areas that you may need to be extremely careful. So watch out for valet. Kickoff is at noon. Kickoff is noon on December 16th. So it's an early game. So give all your time to go home, take a nap, and then come back later on that night and blow it out. So good deal. Love you guys. We appreciate it. As always, go Rattlers.
Thank you, Coach. One point on the planning committee is going to be about keeping the momentum going. So we won't be addressing issues like the ticket office or something like that. Well, that's not the momentum that I'm talking. That's another momentum. All right. We got to go, people. Yes. Yes, Clayton. Have your attention, please. What is it, Doc? Well, that's not our. That's not our. We don't deal with that, Doc. I don't know. Okay. Where's Maurice? No, Maurice. I was talking about Maurice. Maurice, give us the last word. Oh. Okay. I don't mean Maurice. I mean Roosevelt. Goodbye. Thank you, Roosevelt. Thank you, Roosevelt.